receive any declarations of disposal of peculiar interest related items on the agenda for discussion.
Chairman,
Councillor Turner.
the officers have received an email from a resident saying that I appeared in a campaign leaflet supporting the Edge Road, which affects the Watlington area. This is true, as I do support the Edge Road due to the traffic pollution problems in Watlington, which it will help. However, boundary changes are a different issue, but I can understand how the resident has linked the two items. To remove any doubt in the public mind, I will not take part in the discussion or vote on the Watlington Burton Parish Bandits issue. In addition, I was canvassed in my local pub by a resident who does work for the landowners in this area. I advised him that I could not give an opinion in advance of the committee meeting, as I could be accused of fettering my discretion, and we accepted this. So I'm declaring what I call a potential interest.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Yep, we're still recording. Therefore, accept that. Agenda item 4, urgent business and chairman's announcement. We've all received an email from Stephen Corrigan today about Goring on Thames Parish Council. This is not on the agenda, but I think we need to discuss it in the session. And as a very received it. Yeah. We had a chance to read it.
Yeah, I'd only say, Chairman, you know, why was it sent so late?
Well, I just handle Stephen and see what he's going to suggest.
I mean, in the paper you see they Roaring Parish Council wrote that internal payments in their words. On two occasions it appears to have responded one to this original request for items to be reviewed, and then it appears that a paper was produced but it wasn't submitted there. The parish council meeting till April this year. I spoke to the chair, and the possible option is to bring this in the coming report to the next meeting, should be in September, to improve in advance terms of reference and decide whether you pay later or review at that time.
Unfortunately,
I have no problem with it, but you know, why send it on the afternoon of the meeting? That's the point.
I'm hoping to get it on the agenda. And I don't think it can be on the agenda.
No, it can't go on the agenda.
No, it can't be on the agenda. That's the other thing to do. The only thing we can agree to do what Stephen Corrigan suggesting. Take it for the September meeting, the next meeting.
And there's not going to be any implications or any delays if we do defer it to September.
There may be, but I think in terms of amending the terms of reference now and the workload of the election team and colleagues and consultation team, of course, they're also attempting on the avail at the same time. Thinking on Thursday there's too much workload at the moment, and I'm team to do consultation team coming to summer, so we make decisions of summer running.
That's right. I propose we let the person speak. Is it a mail? There's no name on it.
Well, I'd go back to the parish council with the decision of this committee and tell them that if it's going to September, they'll be not sent subject to address your applicant. That extract is just from that's the paperwork that is submitted to the Goring Parish Council with the meeting of paper.
Was it bluntly? We either accept it to go forward to the September meeting, or we don't accept it at all.
Report September.
Yeah. Declare it September.
Declare it in September. We agree on that. Yeah, thank you. Sorry. Public participation. There are four members of the public wish to speak. I am proposed to take them now. Yeah. And then we'll remember what they said and come through other times on the agenda. First one on the list is Stephen Bolingbroke from Bolingbroke Parish Council. Saw you earlier on, Stephen.
Stephen Bolingbroke, are you there?
Just try and yes, I'm here. Hello. Can you see the screen? Can you see the map that I've shared?
We can see you and hear you. Stephen, you have 3 minutes to talk to the committee, starting from your first words.
I'm sharing with you a map of the proposed change. Can you all see that?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so just to remind everybody, the yellow line here is the existing parish boundary, and the blue line here is the proposed relief road, which will create 2 building developments, one called PYR2, which I've shaded in green here, and this blue one here, which is the existing Castle Gardens, which is an over 50s residential space. I've looked at the criteria you have for changing parish boundaries, and it seems pretty clear to me that this change, once the relief road is built and the houses are built, falls very squarely within the criteria. It's a man-made boundary that clearly separates the built-up area of Watlington from the green space and small hamlets of Purton and Sherburn. The residents of Castle Gardens who responded to the consultation have all indicated that they see themselves as part of Watlington, not as part of Purton. So it meets the requirement about identities and interests of the affected community. And it does allow those residents to stand for and participate in the work of the parish council. Looking at the objections from the consultation, I think they fall into 4. One is timing, which I'll come back to. One is about the allocation of SIL funds. We recognise that SIL is for improving the infrastructure of for the benefit of the new residents, but we have already agreed with Purton that we would spend that on their priorities, as they seem to have already got some ideas about how they want to spend it. There's a discussion about planning input and who should be responsible for influencing the design of the new development, and my argument very strongly would be that that should be Watlington, as these will be houses which are clearly part of Watlington, not part of Purton. And there's some questions about the use of the green space to the north of the relief road. That's the area marked here in red. It's clear that that's already allocated for playing fields for the Icknield and for a country park type thing that Purton will own, and we are not disputing that at all. We're not trying to get hold of that land. That's clearly outside the Watlington boundary. But the issue really is about timing. By this point, we hoped that we would have planning permission for the relief road, and that road layout would be in place. That clearly hasn't happened, and I understand from speaking to Democratic Services that it's difficult for SODC to actually make a future order based on a potential planning outcome. So my proposal is I'm asking the committee to agree the transfer in principle so that it can be enacted at the point the planning permission is granted, and the parish council will then put in a future application at that point. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bolingbroke. Thank you very much for your time. We can't. We don't have a chance to ask any questions, so we can't. Alex Woods.
Yes, hello there, Chairman. Apologies, my camera's not very good, but hopefully you can hear me. Okay, very good. Thanks for allowing me to address the committee tonight. My name is Alex Woodis and I'm the Chairman of Purton Parish Council, and I'd like to comment on 2 of the proposals highlighted tonight. The first one is the one we've just been speaking about, and the second one is the Sherburn change of boundary request. The first of these I'm hoping will be quite self-explanatory. The original officer's advice on this matter was to reject this proposal for the reasons that are still valid as of today. You will see from your officer's report that the majority of correspondents don't agree to take this forward. The Watlington Release Road does not even have planning permission to date, and this will not be concluded within the timeframes of this review. Despite other comments, nobody knows when this will be or even when it will happen. Per 2, the land designated for the mentioned houses will not be granted planning permission until such a time as the Watlington Relief Road has planning. There's a Grampian condition attached to the outline permission stating this. And Purton Parish Council has worked tirelessly over the last 5 years to ensure that our parish there will be no houses without the infrastructure associated alongside it. In addition to this, Purton Parish Council has invested a considerable amount of time ensuring that the houses would need to comply with the neighbourhood plan of Purton, and this limits the size and height and the vernacular design and the massing of these properties, which is clearly viewed from the Ridgeway. This would be undefendable if the land was transferred prematurely. Furthermore, there is a long and complicated Section 106 agreement that has already been signed by SODC, the developers and Purton Parish Council, outlining future land ownership and financial obligations required by the relevant parties. This would be seriously undermined if the boundaries are altered prior to the completion of any development, along with the SIL funding allocated. We agree strongly with the revised comments from your officers to reject this application at this time, as it's far too premature. Any conversations regarding the future of this area simply can't happen until such a time as all the construction has occurred and everybody affected can make an informed decision. This could be several years from now. There's no logical reason for this to be taken forward at this stage. The second proposal is that of transferring Purton to Sherburn on the east side. Now, Purton Parish is a historical strip parish, and it runs down from the Hazleys all the way up the Chiltern Hills to Christmas Common. And taken as a cumulative, this would cut our parish in half geographically. Top parts of the parish would be isolated, something we've been told by our residents is not wanted. This area of Purton Parish has been a part of Purton Parish for decades, and it's offered all the protection under Sherburn Grade 2 historical site, and Purton has always and will always protect it. We didn't comment formally on this because we wanted to lobby our parishioners to canvass opinions, and it transpires there is strong objection to change to this. And splitting the parish in two of the strip boundary with the future of Purton under discussion is not acceptable to our parish.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Woodson. That's time.
No, I'm here. Thank you. That's fine.
Okay, thank you. Right. Right. Our third speaker is Richard Drew. Hello, Mr. Drew.
Richard Drew here, yes.
You have 3 minutes to talk to the committee.
Thank you. My name is Richard Drew, and I'm speaking on behalf of Sherburn Parish Meeting. Sherburn Parish Meeting is very grateful to the officer's recommendation in connection at the parish's request under CGR-H that this should go forward for further consideration by the committee today. The officers consider the slight change proposed, which will move the parish boundary along the outline of the historic parkland, provides for a clear boundary between the parishes, addresses the issues raised in the proposal, wherein part of Sherburn Castle registered parkland is in Purton Parish and part is located within Sherburn Parish. Whilst we note that there are comments in support, we wish to address the comments that are opposed to this proposal. Sherburn Registered Park is a highly important national heritage asset, which includes a unique avenue of holm oaks, including 2 veteran trees, all of which are currently within the curtilage of Purton Parish Council and form the southern part of the registered park. This adjoins the northern section of the registered parkland, which immediately adjoins the Grade 1 Sherburn Castle. Sherburn Parish Meeting consider that with the growing pressures that the administration of Sherburn Park is most secure being held within a single parish administration in the future. Sherburn Parish Meeting are not seeking a land grab, but for the future parish administration to be the responsibility of a single parish. Sherburn Parish Meeting understands that in undertaking this review, the committee have to have regard and to secure that it reflects the identities and interests of the community and is effective and convenient. Sherburn Parish Meeting considers that their request achieves both. The slight boundary change achieves an important and strong benefit in both respects and therefore does not lack a good rationale, which was cited as a reason for objection. The long and thin topography of Purton Parish Council currently means that the parish is already to some extent dissected by the B4009 and the need to use Howe Hill to travel the full extremes of the parish. The boundary amendment requested by Sherburn Parish Meeting should not impact those properties that immediately back on to the registered park. Any impact is between freehold owners. Sherburn Parish Meeting requests that the committee takes these comments into account in its consideration of this boundary amendment, and I'm most grateful for your time. This end.
Thank you, Mr. Drew. Thank you. We'll take your comments into consideration when we consider the item later on the agenda. Next speaker is Richard Sheehan from Great Hazley Parish Council.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Thank you very much. Yes, my name is Richard Sheehan. I'm the chair of Great Hazley Parish Council, speaking on behalf of the Parish Council regarding the Great Hazley and Tame boundary change you'll be discussing later. I'm just going to share my screen so that you actually won't let me do that, so I won't bother. However, we have a two-phase proposal with Tame, which we agreed in principle. Phase 1 being the transfer of the current industrial site from Great Hazley into Tame, and phase 2 being a transfer of the cattle market as and when it is built. Whilst we've no objection to phase 1, we're very happy for the committee to agree this, if it should so consider. Phase 2, the Parish Council have an issue with currently, as the boundaries as shown within the current plan are slightly different to that was agreed between Great Hazley and Tame. The westernmost boundary that was agreed at our meeting was the westernmost boundary of the current cattle market planning application, which was P24/S2886/full. That essentially is half the area that is currently shown within the current plan. If that was agreed at this meeting, that would give Tame much more greenfield land than Great Hazley was considering giving that particular parish, particularly as we intended to use that area as a buffer between the industrialised units of Tame and the more rural parish of Great Hazley. It also would mean, if it was agreed at this meeting, that Great Hazley would lose out on any SIL or public art money arising from the construction of the cattle market, and we had agreed with Tame that we would not put that forward to consideration until the cattle market was built and Great Hazley had extracted all the benefits that it could do from that development before it was transferred to Tame. I see the recommendation was for both phases to be agreed at this meeting. However, we would ask from a Great Hazley perspective that whilst phase 1 could be agreed, that phase 2 is postponed until we can redefine that boundary as was per the agreement, and make sure we have that agreement with Tame regarding SIL and public art funding. That's it from me.
Thank you, Mr. Sheehan.
Thank you.
We'll look at that. We'll look at that when we get to the agenda item. I understand your comment. I understand his comment. We'll look at that one. Agenda item. Thank you. Thank you, committee. Thanks. That's our speakers. Right. Agenda item 6, community governance review, draft recommendations. The first thing we've got to look at is the page 7. I think Stephen wants to change the times there.
Yeah, just briefly introduce the covering report. So, what the committee's been asked to do this evening is agreed draft proposal to go out further consultation. So the initial consultation was to gain ideas in response to those matters the committee agreed to undertake the review for. Attached to your papers, there's a detailed consultation report summary that gives analyses the responses received on each of the matters, and a second attachment which sets out the consultation responses, the emails, etc., with actions and there's further for each of the schedules. There's some of them, there's further emails attached. As I said, each matter has a separate schedule, setting out the reasons for lots of recommendations. But as the chair alluded to, we're also seeking this evening to revise terms of reference slightly to allow this committee to meet in September to agree its final decisions. So that will allow longer period to cost tax that happening on those results. Within the report, especially in respect to the hip-hop and maintain reviews, officers of reference that when we published a report, we had a line gone down commission agreement. Since the publication of the agenda, I've had an email back from our contacts. So you have their view on that. I'll just read out the short couple of paragraphs. The Commission will consider all requests on a case-by-case basis, and there is no blanket provision that we will or will not consider consent to change protected electoral arrangements in any authority regardless of local government reorganisation status. However, we are still bound by the statutory criteria that drive our electoral reviews when considering consent cases, and as such, we consider things like effectively appealing local government. These criteria, as well as the specific circumstances of the Commission and the authority in question at the time of the request, will drive the Commission's consideration for any requests it receives. That's really specifically included in 3 towns. Typical issues.
The Commission response.
Yeah. Well, I would also, it is covered in the report, but I'd also like to clarify that the proposals in respect of the parish arrangements or hip-hop, Henley and Tame, they are not the local government boundary commission proposals, but they are going to be implemented next month. So it's not something they're consulted us on. So this committee would come up with a request to change them. But I just want to make it clear, it sets out in the report, they are not proposals. So we're not being requested by the boundary commission to give a view on what they've set out. So statutorily, they have to do what they set out in the order. What they have to do. Although county division splits, parish board, they have to create a new parish board. Hence, what's happening that they've got every town. So those are due to be implemented next year with those elections. Not possible. The consultation stage was when your county review is undertaken. That's when. So
you're saying this happening regardless?
The committee still agree with the proposal, but this committee does not have the power to implement those proposals. We have to see of the boundary commission. As I've read out, they will have regard to the statutory provisions that they're guided by.
Councillor,
Right. My first question is, Chairman, who was the person that agreed to the changes of the boundaries in the 3 towns we mentioned, of Tame, Dicker and Henley? There must be a person somewhere that's come up with this idea. Who's come up with the idea of changing the boundaries? Was it a person? Because I'd like to see that person here until we can question them.
It'll be, it's a local government boundary commission, so they have a board. So they have to review of county council. They would look at, so they would have looked at electoral quality. I'm assuming I wasn't involved with the review, but electoral quality in respect to the county divisions. They're then bound by legislation that where a county division splits an existing parish board or the parish, they have to create a new board, and that's what's happened. So, Henley, for example, Henley South is split between 2 county divisions, so you have Henley South and I think 3 towns that they've got.
I think we are dealing with the consequences. The county council review. So the person who's going to responsible for this is either the electoral commission or it's the county council. I think we'll be here.
I want to find out how we got here, how we got in this position. And basically, it's all come through the county council, isn't it? You know, they're the ones. And the way they've carved up Henley, the county council, just absolutely ridiculous. But they've brought a small corner, which are now calling Newtown. Proposing to have three parish councils, and I'll go on to this later, proposing three parish councils there. But what is the point of having a county councillor having Sonning Common, Harpsden, Winfield, Shiplake, and part of Henley, when you then go and take where Stephen is the county council, you then go and move him into Rotherfield Grays, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. If anything, I'd have put Rotherfield Grays in with Sonning Common, which is nearer. The whole thing here is just absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely crazy. Only an idiot would come up with this idea. I'm sorry. And I'd like to see that idiot and have a chat with it. It's absolute crazy. Let me just read you two items here from the report. On page 11, on the report, what is a community governance review? And it gives you two bullet points here. And they said to improve community engagement and better local democracy, to enable more effective and convenient delivery of local services. How what's being proposed makes those two items better, I just do not understand. And I'm sure Tame and I'm sure Div have been exactly the same. They do not add anything to what's been in place for 50, 60 years, which is a road down the middle, 8 councillors one side and 8 the other. So the two statements there, the two bullet points there, say everything about what we're going to discuss tonight. Sorry, I let Rocky speak.
I agree with what Councillor Arlett said, but also, what surprised me with Didcot is no one's listened to the actual town council, and there's so many single member wards which they've come up with, and again,
that's the town council. Comment.
And the town council has commented to say we don't want that.
No.
And so this clearly not been listened to, or the boundary commission aren't willing to, from what you're saying, it's gonna whatever we say, they're gonna go ahead with what they've proposed, which clearly shows they've got lack of local knowledge.
No, what I'm saying is these proposals that are in the order that sets up the county division, county divisions, and the consequential chain knock on from those county divisions are what we see for them. This committee can still agree alternatives, which we've set out in the schedules. Yeah. But we would have to get permission from the boundary commission to implement those changes, because I think we don't have the power to go against something they've established with the
That's exactly why we're here. Because
I understand, but what's the likelihood of them actually listening?
We're going to ask them to come along.
But when we get to those schedules, officers have tried to come up with arrangements that would not impact the county divisions. So the county divisions, as were established by the plan, which is still in place, and to try to work within changing the
that's the biggest problem, that the boundary commission did these for the county, then tried to knock on the town houses. That was the biggest issue. If they've had elections on these boundaries, the county council elects on these boundaries. No, but it's the next elections that we're concerned about, that they're not on those boundaries. And we're going to find the best solution we can find. We can't go back. No, I understand. We can't go back. We're stuck with what they've said. And I think the officers have worked through it, and they've come forward with a workable solution. You hear what the boundary commission said. They will consider them. Whether they agree with them or not is up to them. But I think we've got to put forward our best suggestions, which gets us some way out of the lock, not doesn't get us entirely.
But can I ask a question, unless I missed it in the report? What is the district boundary for Henley? Is it the 8, 5 and 3? Is it the 8 and 5? Is it a piece from somewhere else?
Can we get there, Ken?
Oh, look at all this. I'm asking the question because then I use that in the debate.
Can we get there and discuss it then? Right, first thing to agree,
Yeah.
Sorry.
We've just heard two strong sets of opinion from two ward members. If any other ward members registered a stink or affecting their ward?
They spoke at the last meeting. That's the one spoke. That's the last meeting. That's right. Spoke at the last meeting. And they've probably seen the reports and said, well, these should take notice. Yeah, I think that's the same. Right. So the first decision is the next meeting, but the meeting would be to agree these proposals and move forward. Right. They don't go back to council or anyone else. This committee decides. That will be done for the next meeting. Stephen's suggesting that meeting is being held in September and the date that we can arrange. No, content with that. Yeah. With that. Yeah. Okay. Right. Anything else we need to?
No, you're correct. The schedule's go.
And the schedule. That's right. Okay.
So the first matter consider it's in respect of UL. So UL Parish Council requested the committee to consider increasing the number of parish councillors from 6 to 7. Those who have been on this committee or that on council will be aware that this council has used the National Association of Local Councils recommendation for the number of parish councillors to electors. See for UL being quite a small parish. Page. This is page 63. Page 63, 63, not 61. Now, when it starts, yes, tables are 63, 61.
Yeah, 61 and 63.
So the National Association of Local Councils recommend that the minimum number of parish councillors should be 7. So the officer recommendation was to proceed forward with a draft proposal that UL should have 7 parish councillors from May 2027.
Is there Iron Benson in UL or Benson?
It's in UL. It's in UL.
It's in UL. You know, there are a great deal of people on Iron Benson. How do they fit in?
The population still fits within the threshold of 900, even with the elected line, the base. Correct.
Thank you. On proposed recommendation. Proposal and second year. Yeah, thank you. We all agree with them. Yeah. David?
Yeah.
Okay.
So page 65, Chair, the next one is in respect of Stoke Road. Parish Council, they requested an increase in the number of parish councils from 6 to 8. Again, if we apply the now criteria, then Stoke Road should have 7 parish councillors. So contrary to the request, we are recommending it to go out from proposal to increase their parish council size from 6 to 7 parish councils rather than the end. Of course, parish council could be so much respond to the consultation, but argue whatever it's having.
Yeah, okay. An agreement. Yeah. Right.
And the third of these requests comes from Woodford Parish Council. Just they requested an increase in the number of parish councillors from 10 to 12. Again, applying the now ratio, Woodford should have 10 parish councillors as present. They're quite well, even with the anticipated development, they will still be below the electoral numbers of 2,700. And if you look at previous elections that were held in 2015, 2019, 2023, in the most recent elections, 2019, 2023, there are only 6 candidates for those.
Well, you might say that.
6 candidates for those 10 positions. I recognise currently that they have their full 10 councillors. but it's important that elections is a healthy place to do. You have more members than places.
Yes.
So on 2 grounds, I don't think we've demonstrated the need for additional councillors this time. We are, as officers, suggesting that the committee agrees not to make this matter forward at this stage. So we agree that they retain a 10, but we're going to take that to the second stage possibly.
I'm happy to quote that because, yeah, for the reason you said, including that leader.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. And we're going to tickets. Straightforward point. Straightforward. Straightforward. Did got one too?
So this, Chair, the next 3 are all in respect of arising from boundary fishing review of County Council. So this was a request from Didcot Town Council to Dinas Council Plan said Didcot Town Council were not happy with the number of single name awards that flows from that review. So I think there are 4 that due to come into force next May. As I alluded to earlier, what officers have tried to do, they have tried, but they did do this, come up with alternative warding proposals which would not impact county divisions, but would reduce the number of single member wards, parish wards in Didcot. So they are set out in table 4 on page 76. There would still be 1 single member ward, suggested broad grade parish ward, but consider there was a range of other numbers, the table of 21 town parishes that we looked at. So it sets out there with joining, so it would be suggestion that we combine some of the wards that are related by the commission by combining those wards to reduce the number of single member wards. So come on.
Yes, thank you, Chair. First of all, their proposal from the Boundary Commission with, the number of single ward councillors and wards, should be rejected. Should be totally rejected. It's not anything that the residents want, the council wants, or the electors want, because it just doesn't work. And councillors have shown that. I can see what the officers have done in terms of trying to put some of the different wards together and take it away from all the number of single ward. However, although this is better, the current system that we have is the best. The current system that we have, current number of boundaries, current number of councillors per ward is what the council wants and is what's best for Didcot. And even looking at what you have here, when you look at page 76, there are certain wards that are in different, I would have them in a different different boundary, because Broadway and Orchard, you've got here in county division, it's in Didcot West, and in district, it's in Didcot South. I will keep it in Didcot South.
We haven't got at the district one at the moment.
No. I get that. But again, using local knowledge,
yeah,
and also trying not to confuse the residents. At one election, they would have been voting for one particular councillor or set of councillors who were standing in that particular ward, and then another set, they're still in the same house, still in the same road, that we voted for a different total division. So again, that doesn't, to me, make sense. So I would certainly propose that for Didcot, we wholeheartedly reject what the Boundary Commission has done, and then try and, this is better, but I still think it needs bit of work.
I'll say it again. You can't reject what the boundary commission have done.
I know, but we can propose.
They've tried to change it. It's happened. They've had their elections on that. We have to work within those divisions.
But if we do not put a counter proposal, what they're proposing is totally wrong.
What they're proposing, who are proposing.
Boundary commission got all the single wards.
You can't. That's happened. That's not a proposal. That's happened.
Yes.
Yeah. We have to work with that.
Yes, I get that. But what I'm saying is, what we propose is better. But it's still not.
How do you stand? How do you see it could be improved?
Well, as I said, what I would have done is have a Broadway and Orchard in Didcot South rather than in Didcot West.
We haven't got.
I think,
Didcot South, don't we?
So what we as officers have done is, because of local government reorganisation, we have assumed, as per the council's submission, the county divisions are going to be used as boundaries for the shadow authority elections next year. So that's what we've worked towards, to try and preserve council and loss to actually the re-elector to sort of voting. Yes. The other issue we really have to consider is, if I think this council cards basically keep current. This continuous agree, we've got a consultation as part of the proposal. We seek to get permission from the board to use it, implement the current arrangements. There's a real risk the elections team people who possibly go to from wards. The amount of work that have to be undertaken to create polling districts, because none of the boundaries have been hotels. So to create smaller polling districts and probably have to put more staff to ensure that people, when they come to the polling station, are voting is correct. The issues in the other division and district law is the current parish wards. They're the next step to what bring it by the yeah, that's something that we would soon take to get as part of the criteria to ensure efficient development would be a real struggle for the real product.
They just can't have it if someone comes in. You're going to be voting for the same area each time. You can't have to. We have to work with county commission. We can't destroy them. So you have to work with them. So you're stuck with the county division.
If I had to make a decision, what's on this page 76 is better than what was original.
Yes.
But as I say, that's still not correct. But the fact that we got until September.
But we as a committee need to put forward an alternative to this, because we're not going to sit down and work with it. We can go back to we've got to go back to the Didcot Town Council with a proposal. Not with, what do you think?
No, I get that. And if we have to put proposal forward, then this can be put forward. Then will the Didcot Town Council have the right to feedback on that and put a counter?
Yeah, because it will go out of consultation. So, this committee will make final decision in September.
Because I think I have shared this document with all the Didcot Town councillors, and a few of them come back. And obviously, in the last meeting, we had 2 other members who spoke who were against it.
So, agree with them. What the county commission done is that without question, it's not acceptable at all. Yeah. What's missing from this? It's all black lines. I need to see a red line which determines which is the county boundary that shall not be crossed.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
Yeah. And it's a real hodgepodge.
Oh, there is, some of it is in Tolsey and Hagmore, some is in Bickle West, some is Bickle South. It's all.
But if you said now what you could change on that before we go further, then I'm listening to you. So,
Yeah, as I say, I would personally, change Broadway and Orchard into Bickle South, but then you will say it doesn't fit in terms of numbers.
well, I don't think it. We haven't got a concern.
Oh, that's what yeah. I do. What the council wants and what I would like is again status quo.
Down the left-hand side, the parish forward slips the officers off the post. One of those quite rightly says Broadway Orchard. Which one of the other definitions down there? Pre-COVID. Which one of the other definitions down in that first column? Will it fit with? Like, without crossing these boundaries that we can't cross. I think that's fair.
Well, I get that. That is the biggest problem because again, it's a lack of local knowledge. So
it's like an lack of knowledge from the boundary.
So to move this forward, as I say, I would prefer the status quo. But to move this forward, if we have to go with this, then at least we'll go to the town council, and then it could be further discussion.
I think we can agree that with that acceptance that we're not accepting this. We think forward as an
alternative, as a compromise.
Yeah.
Without the full consultation of the town council, then I can live with that.
Is that really lying going across there? Is that the counterboundary for instance? The blue lines are counterboundaries. Look at it. The blue lines for counterboundaries. Well, you've got a little bit there, the strip of woods and final organization. Permission. But if you wanted to get rid of the glory, that's the decision. Yeah, that'd be parish waste or council. I'm not being clearly exempted. We've got to percentage of that's a district law.
Have you seen all the sweepy lines? Just doesn't make sense.
I know, I'm confused. Because I've got a black and white one and it doesn't really help. Another 600 euro. And that's that Broadway and Orchard. Doesn't work.
It doesn't work. I know
it doesn't work.
You can provide it separate all Saints.
Whatever's All Saints.
A sick member or
Which where's All Saints? That's the other side of that.
Is the district.
it's the reds. The
Reds, what I'm seeing already.
Yeah, because Broadway and Orchard is always been difficult out.
So, well, the suggestion is that Broadway and Orchard goes to All Saints. The 6 things All Saints, include Orchard, and right-hand side, North Sound and Broadway. And the bottom,
Yeah, I think that's
it.
I think that would make it. That would make it even more confusing.
I think it's going to be changes like that.
Yeah, that's going to be even more confusing.
No, I don't agree. There are alternatives that can fulfill this. So,
Okay, so the purposes of today, and just to move things forward, this will say this is an alternative for the Didcot Town Council to consider, then for them to feed back by the September meeting.
yeah, and I think they're going to.
So it's all it is a draft recommendation.
Yes.
But they've got to.
There will be loads more other feedback coming.
Oh no,
coming.
they've got to appreciate that you can't cross the new county boundaries.
I get that, but I think what would help in the response to Didcot Town Council is to put those rules very, very clear.
I think it's set out.
It is set out.
It's set out in the schedule, yeah.
But again, it needs to be in a language they'll understand.
Language they can understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Language that they'll understand. But as I say, what the original credit to the officers for attempting to make something much better than what was said.
Yeah.
Which is totally wrong.
This is what's current.
Yes. Yes. What's currently there is wrong.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't allow it.
I mean, we're going to talk about two towers that got this issue. I'm sure it affects the whole of the county. They didn't seem to take any notice of things like that. James, you want to speak?
Yeah, well, one thing, again, I don't think it's in the report. When you look at the breakdown on page 76, which is proposing 9 election areas, then you've got the one on page 77, which is proposing 6. You realise how much election material you have put out for this. You know, if you only had 4 or 5 walls there, you only have to put 5 walls out. But you're asking, you know, Labour and Liberal to put 9 different lots of election material in. And that's it's not bad if it's additional, you know, so you won't bother. But if it's for the town, it just makes so much
A lot of
work.
leaflets, yeah.
It makes so much work for everybody. I mean, those in 9. And you know, it's I can understand where the officers come from. It's, you know, you're looking at numbers, you know, something to do with the numbers per councillor. But as someone who's representing my town, I'm not interested in the numbers. I'm interested in what's easier for the residents. Looking at it doesn't make it very easy for the residents. But you've got all different sides of roads on this as well.
But all boundary changes with respect to are a numbers game, aren't they?
It shouldn't be a numbers game.
So that there's equality with the electorate, and I mean councillors on the
It's
council.
not just
So when you look at the colour print, you can see. When you look at the colour print, you can see it just. This is a bit.
I mean, so that's the red line. Sorry, electoral quality is one of the factors we have to take into account. So we try and ensure that as far as possible, practical and elect vote rates the same as votes. So we have to try with these side favours from the Jubilee and Millbrook. There was fairly first.
And I think that first suggestion is this is a strict pull. It's not a very good. Or they don't shoot because not all sense. That's a strict pull. Well, we should take one of the anomalies out. It was Jubilee and Melbourne, and I black activities. Down to divisions we can put what in terms of right. So what are we going to do with it? What are we going to go forward for consultation with this?
Well, just to move it forward.
Yeah.
Go with this.
Yeah.
Because, but knowing that they've got town councillors and people can actually feedback on it. So this is the officers' draft proposal.
Yeah, because they asked that things be changed from what was on from that. This is a change from that.
It's a vast improvement.
It's
still not there, in my opinion.
There are tweaks to that. Do you think it'd be sufficiently understood by town councillors? Or would I leave it to you to explain to them?
I think that if we can make the report or the response clear and simple as possible in terms of language, but I will obviously be at that meeting as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's this strange criteria we can't. Over county boundary, county boundaries.
Well, we can see, to clarify, if this committee, they can ask this committee and council could ask to change the county rules and boundaries. It's your officer's view that would be very unlikely.
I think
so. We just undertaken a review on
It was
in line with their.
We should have had discussion then.
Well, it would have been county council would have said that.
Yeah, county council.
That's the problem.
And we didn't realise.
That's the problem. It should have been dealt with at this level as well.
We should have had an input, but
Yeah.
we should have discussed
They
it.
normally realise they were going to say, oh, this is the new county vision. And by the way, this is what it thinks does on the parish.
So we're hamstrung because of decisions made that there wasn't discussion and dialogue with us at this level.
But it still wouldn't have been had as set out in the current report and schedules. Planning Commission follows the statutory guidance, so that they're looking at county divisions, and once they've agreed those county divisions, they look at how it impacts parishes. If any of those county divisions divide a parish, council area, or a parish ward, to a sort of deliberate big parts, so that's how we got to do it, because it's split an existing parish ward. So their hands are tied by legislation.
Don't tend to agree with your statement. They just didn't consider it. They just said, this is what's going to happen. Council Town.
Yeah, I think, I mean, Rob did make quite a strong point, I think. I mean, we are the council with the most local knowledge in the county.
Yeah.
I share your view on that. Particularly are down to small, very small areas that county would have very little understanding of, whereas we do, and their ward members do. Down to the point of the ward members speak up to that.
We won't agree on it. Talk came down from the bottom. It's a bit of an ambush. One of the but they should have consulted with the town entities.
Can I ask how many wards there are at the moment? As it stands at the moment.
Sorry.
Currently, I think there's 36.
No, wards, just wards. How many wards in Tidcup?
Wards in Tidcup.
Yeah, not mine, that's what you say.
Yes, it's set out on it's
3.
That's
That's
county.
Oh, right.
3 is at county.
Yeah.
Yeah. So table 2, Chair, on my page 7.
9.
No, that's
No,
it's 5.
1, 2, 3, 4. It's 5.
5.
Oh, there we are.
5. So then we go to 9.
You've got New States Lane Road, Millbrook, Northborough Orchards and Park. And that's what this committee previously looked at.
That's what it should be. So we've got 5 to 9.
So yeah, but if you went to 6, that's just about 7. 5 to 6.
Which is what the cost is. We could keep it at 5, though. Not going in the top 2.
But it's better than 9.
Right.
So someone can propose this and second it, and then, as I say, I can then speak to your council.
Right, I would propose it stays to the status quo, but if that's not acceptable, then it goes to the item with
Page 76.
76.
page 77. So then it goes to, so if it's not, if you can't keep the status quo, my next option would be the on page 77.
Well, that was 1 page. So, or 76, or 78.
It's 76.
Page 77.
So let's say it's 76. Okay.
Chair, the issue with that is we could go out to consultation on that, and there isn't time with the elections next year. So you could go out to consultation, say, with the status quo or what's on page 76. You'd have to go out with, you want to go out and say, we'd like to consult on obtaining existing town council arrangements. If that came back in September, to agree that we'd have to do the right which we see they were willing to implement that. Say they would have regard to their current arrangements and highlight again the difficulty and the resources that will impact on the elections team if because of the change the division boundaries. I got sometimes from a day that night and back. Well, that one and then still get feedback for
I changed my proposal. I get separate. I'm proposed to go to the table on page 77. That goes out to consultation.
So that's 76 on our papers. I think
Well, I've got 77. Well, mine's 77.
So table 4 then, isn't it?
Table 4,
yeah,
on page 77.
I hope 77 doesn't exist on mine. It's not.
You put 77 or 76.
The map is page 77.
I don't understand.
The map's
Page
page
77 is a map.
No, just Ken has definitely got 77.
Oh.
But it's the same page as mine.
This is table 4.
It's table 4.
Put table 4.
Table 4 on page whatever.
Yeah.
That's strange, isn't it?
It's strange. That's 76.
What page is that?
Well, it's 76 or 77.
The map is 77.
It's not, can't be.
We got that problem.
There's a 76, it's a 38.
Right. Okay. Thank you. I think we know what we agreed to.
And then
we know what
as I say, we will come back from the town council.
Yeah. They need to ensure that they know what the restrictions are. Yeah.
Well, the response will say pretty.
Yeah. Okay. We've got to have it.
Anyway, so as a result of the review of the county division boundaries and it's because they created a new county division board was created that split South Ward town council to two. So the boundary division have created Henley South Ward with 5 councillors and a Newton ward of 3 councillors. The officer recommendation, looking at the county divisions, is that we can't come up with it as we have done with Electoral and Tay. Those are the fits in with the county division boundaries. Any town council wants to retain the North Ward with 8 and South Ward with 8. To do that, the council put that proposal forward, then you would lose control and loss to the 2 parish wards. The division will lead the voting. Say town councils within the county divisions, which goes against council velocity that we've always tried to achieve as a council, which necessarily have to go forward with that in the future. Again, it would lead to efficiency issues with the elections to win running the elections around 2027. So the officer recommendation based on that we should become more enough statutory requirements based on boundary divisions. Not to make any changes, not to take the matter forward at this stage with the view to cease review to be proceed with the range baseline boundary, which I'm sure Councillor Albert will.
Well, look, Chairman and officers, I can understand where you're coming from, but this is utter madness. I wrote on the back of my piece of paper today, after going through this 3 times, common sense. And there is absolutely no common sense in this whatsoever. Just one item which I mentioned before about election material. Instead of having 2, you've now got to bring in another one. So you're going to put a third on your cost of election material. Nobody's thinking about that. HRG with its 1,000 members, they're really going to struggle to, have to cop up with the money for the election and do it 1,000 members. But it's just madness. It's been this way. It's been this way since anybody can remember. 18A, division down Grays Road. It's so simple. and this was just a number game from OCC. It was nothing more than a number game. To split a town up and bring it in with two villages, well, and Sonicom as well, which is a village, it's just absolutely ridiculous. As I say, the other side, it doesn't show you the boundary, because the boundary of the other side goes out to Woodcote and not to Woodcote, sorry, to Longfield Grays. You know, the county ward there, so it doesn't show the county ward on here. But my question before, where is the district council boundary on this plan? On page,
Yeah, it's the blue line.
so the blue line is the district council.
Yeah.
Yet we can't have the town council within the district council then. But border,
As we're, because it's the tiny little view that is now, because we don't know what boundaries are going to be used for the shadow approaching next year. So if we didn't have local reorganisation, it's still a lot easier to undertake this review. So we made an assumption as officers based on the council's submission to government that the electoral areas like the council next May would be based on the electoral council electoral divisions. That's what we based on.
but if the district council is in blue, what is stopping just going back to the status quo having 8 and 8? Because we're within the district council blue border.
It's because we're making an assumption that the county divisions will be used next year's election.
I understand that, but
So you'll have a combined election with the new county divisions and the town council. So the people, coach agnostic, and the people with the proposed new town voting, say, same ward and the county division or whatever it's going to be termed.
But it doesn't make any sense. It's just, you know, I hear where you're coming from, but it doesn't make any sense. Henley is divided by Grange Road, 8 and 8. I'm going to propose, Chairman, that we keep it as status quo of 8 in either side. Grange Road,
You can't do that.
well, we can do it. We can do it. It's just getting the boundary commission to come down here September. Let's get them down it. Exactly, they won't, because they probably don't even know where him meets.
But Chair, if I can help, I mean, you can put forward this as a proposal that goes out for consultation, comes back and committee agree that we would then the right to the boundary commission, asking them to merge Henley South with Newtown for the purposes of town council on the grounds of community identity, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That'd be September meeting. But again, it's highlight, I won't be here, but the election team next May needs to have regard that we talk about finance. Unfortunately, issue you mentioned political parties, finance is not criteria for community. But what is a criteria is the making electoral.
Surely there's more work for the officers having 3 wards than there is for 2 wards, surely.
No.
Anyway, that's my proposal to the.
I'll second that proposal.
Okay, Ellen Brosnan. You're supporting.
Yes.
Okay. How long did you go through votes? That's correct.
Dear Chair, in the local government review, there have been a number of proposals submitted which go outside Oxfordshire for the new unit build. How does that always affect that? Because that changes the whole ballgame.
And that is beyond the scope of this committee to actually consider that. If that's what the committee wants, is to move forward, and that's very well.
Sorry about that. Does it want any help?
Do you not think this is magic penmanship?
I I think it's premature, yes.
I understand totally what Glenn's saying, but it makes sense to stay with what you've had, not what you got. So that's something good.
Well, it's the same for Dickov.
Yeah. But that's what it like. But yeah, I understand. Because the planning commission, I'm not going to agree. So you're going to finish up worse off. Obviously, come up with a workable solution, and then that will, well, that might improve things.
As I read out earlier in the chair, they said they were looking at submission on its merit. So
Yeah.
It's for this committee really what it makes a final decision to build them.
Yeah.
Assuming it goes to build.
It's not long ago actually when you look at the plan for Henley, where it has Sonny Common and Henley South, just go left it up a bit where the blue line is there. A piece of land in there used to be Broadhill Graves. About 3 or 4 years ago, we moved the boundary out. But we didn't make up another water. It's just all gone in the Henley North Road. Yeah.
So what can you propose? That's why we stay with Henley North as it is, and Henley South includes Newtown. Yeah, includes the county division of Newtown. The Henley part, right? Yeah, guess what? You're just making it too confusing for people that didn't share the party. And we get in the county commission, it's confusing. That's the problem. They're working on numbers.
I know they are, exactly, but I'm not. I'm working on what's best for what I consider the residents.
I think the biggest point is that we're working on something that we've been inflicted on us. We didn't get part of the consultation on it. That was the biggest
issue. Stephen's really guaranteed that it's going to work. You can just read it back to us.
Right.
I mean, each councillor in the future has to represent roughly the same number of electors.
Yeah. It will do. If you get the 5 and the 3 together, you get back to the 8, which was
still the same number of councillors. Going on.
Yeah, so we're moving to same chair, and again, third of is impacted by council review. So again, officers sought to come up with an arrangement that within the council divisions. So it's come up with Tailing and Tame West Ward, which is being established as that parties within Chalbrook and Tame West. So we're proposing that we split the remaining part of Tame into Tame North East Ward and Tame South East Ward. One with 7 councils, one with 8. See if in the
we want the boundary division get with 2 boards, 1 of 15. Which is a nonsense, and it's an absolute nonsense. Even though we can't do the Glenn's suggestion for Henley, leave Tame West as it is, one, but go back to North and South with 8 and 7. Basically, what it's just so
regardless that we're stuck with that one in the Tame West.
We're still with that one.
That's been created because that area Tame was being
and it's a child
split to a county division. So, and it's very difficult with Tame to re-establish the existing
Tame West has been added to Chalbrook.
Yeah, at the moment, sort of Tame South is linked to Chalbrook.
Sorry?
Tame South is linked to Chalbrook County.
Yeah, Tame West.
Yeah,
I think we're Chalbrook. We'll leave it. Yes, is to leave that.
That's it.
Leave that alone.
Yeah.
But to go back to the North and South in Tame with 8 and 7. And as a Tame councillor, I would agree with them.
That's actually by committee. That's your proposal, and you're happy with that.
Yeah.
So, what was Chalbrook in Tame before?
No, never has been.
Well, it was that part of it was originally a county board.
Never had Tame in your Chalbrook County. You had little Aisley or Great Aisley, which will come to an end.
But surely, if we're looking into the future, with all these hundreds of houses you're going to build in Charlgrove, shouldn't Charlgrove be on its own?
Probably be on its own. If they had
The airfield went away, it would be totally different. Yeah.
Or is that going to take
But
over?
even the present housing built in Kelgrove has moved the population from 3,000 to about 4,800 already.
That's not what we're looking at. It's
So
they weren't looking to the future.
You know what's in front of us is the blue of the county boundary.
That's the district wall boundary.
Yes.
Right. So on the reverse of that map is an illustration of what the proposed wall would look like. It retained the west, which was one created by the boundary commission, and then got north east, south east.
The usually line, which is the that's the actual value.
So is the local member happy with us? And you as well, Chairman.
I'm happy with that. I'm not content, but I'm happy to take the call because I don't think we're going to get it.
What about the men from Charlgrove?
I wasn't happy with the previous proposal. But as I say, it's a numbers game.
It's a numbers game. And this is taking the bit of West Ham that was added to Charlgrove and creating its own town council. That bit, that was ridiculous. But we're stuck with it.
I just feel you know, some of these town villages are just going to lose their identity.
Well, that's
That's what's going to happen.
Right. We're happy with that. Yeah.
Well, if
We're not happy, but
Well, if you're content, Chair,
yeah.
if you are, I'm not.
Yeah, we go through it. Okay. Washington person, we heard them. Washington person.
Yeah, so actually you've had two speakers on this evening. It's a recall that at the last meeting, this Gates officers recommendation, I think, from the relief of the planning commission would be granted for the relief by the time we got to the state of the review. As set out in the schedule, that's got the case. We've spoken to planning colleagues and their responses that the planning commission is not imminent. And therefore officers reconfirmed their initial recommendation that it would be inappropriate to undertake a review at this time, and proposed that the review was ceased. If the relief road is granted planning commission, then obviously at that time will request the course to the successful authority to undertake the government's review, then undertake the review at that time. One of the speakers from what Paris said, those that we probably agree the boundary change to be implemented when the relief road is granted. There's a couple of issues with that. One, we don't know the line of the relief road. It can change between the planning application and the planning condition. But secondly, statutorily, legally, we cannot draft an order that says something will come into effect when something is built. When we draft an order that has specific details of what we're proposing, that order is sealed and then it's implemented at the next scheduled election. So that's not something that we take further this time. So just in line with the circumstances without a planning permission, so we think this review should be stopped this time.
That's fine.
Yeah, I propose that, Chairman. I think that's what the speakers wanted. At the end of the day, which is simpler than what happened in Henley up at Highlands Park, which was in Rockville, it's in Harpston. That then we changed the boundary to bring it into Henley. It wasn't difficult to do it. Otherwise, what would have happened in Harpston probably got 60 houses and with 300 at private park, with quadruple the amount of properties in Harpston, which they didn't want either. they're quite happy with their area of Harpston, all that sort of area. But no, but everybody's happy. I'll close that again and say later today if anything does happen. Yeah, but are you happy with that?
No, I made a declaration at the start of the meeting, so could you record that I didn't take part in this debate? I'm not sure you're going to deal with the final recommendations.
So that's agreed, do we? Yeah, don't go for it. So next is triple person again.
Yes, so again, you kind of speak on this, Chair. So this relates to the area of land currently in Burton Parish Council, which proposes transferred to Sherburn Parish. The officers have recommended that we consult further on this proposal. I think at that stage it'd be important for people who respond to the consultation to give concrete reasons why this would result in any benefits. We have, as officers, highlighted that if this were to go forward, it would mean Burton with a small corridor linking the south of the parish with the north of the parish, which would be compounded further in the future if there were a change resulting from the planning permission grant in the relief road. But I think at this time, officers came down and decided that's going out the further proposal, and hopefully that will provide Nancy with more information in September. There's no one impacted by the proposal, so doesn't impact community identity in that sense. But I think what it's going to be seen as how it's been provided for the if changes implemented.
It has this link to a quite strong previous declaration.
I propose the recommendation is put forward.
Okay, thank you. I'll second that. We all agree? Yeah, thank you. What are we now? This time,
Swift and having endorsed Chair, so this proposal was brought forward by officers. Because when we looked at the map, there was one property that was in a different parish to the main properties on the street. Hindsight would be better if we really looked a bit further at the impacts on the boundaries. Because if we were to change this boundary, it impacts not only on district ward, county divisions, but also on parliamentary boundaries. So if we were to change it again, there'd be complications which provide elections, possibly where we had a essence in that house rather than going one polling station to vote in one election. I think polling station and to vote in parliament election. But those simple reasons, the officers when we don't take this view and further, it's one property. To change it, it's possible to change it, but impact on the areas elections.
That's all this. I don't really have a view on this. It's one positive. And how I can close it up and then is that great? Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Nice. Thanks for saying. Okay, I much.
So this is the Tame of Ray Hasty, that's Chair. So a speed run this evening. there was questions about the map.
I think what it is in the map was showing the whole of the field. The whole thing, the whole of the field. Can take on my head. That's not it.
That was fine.
Yeah, so thank you for the speak. We seem to enlarge the slide that you take on more of the Greenfield site into phase 2. Okay, depending on what the PLC brings, obviously the amendment before that consultation, so we'll correct that. Yeah, we'll do by
So that area's been built already. That could be.
phase 1 and 2. Some of it is an industrial area, but some of the map that you actually had attached to your papers is included land outside of that area. It's a green goal.
There is big gap, and that's not shown in what you submitted or that. It's slightly different what we put in the contemplation, still going back abruptly.
I think the issue for officers we have here, officers came down on the side of going out strong consultation to change both phase 1 and 2, because we were of the view, or perhaps misunderstand, that both Tame and Great Hazeley parishes supported the proposal. So from the speaker from Great Hazeley, that it is not to be.
He supports it,
but not phase 2 until planning permission is fully granted. I think at the current planning permission, because planning permission is subject to a legal agreement,
that's
which
came to committee and was granted. It's not been issued yet because there are also.
So they have got planning permission, or about planning permission.
It's just subject to a legal agreement.
So subject to them signing all they want to see is the numbers. I think what he was talking about was that what's on this map is different to what's actually.
Yeah, we're trying, but we can't. For the papers that were submitted by the parishes, we can't see that it's a great the grading of the news. The speaker is referring to a large, I don't know, a large area of green belt. But you'll see from the officers before that we recognised that transferring these two industrial areas could be acceptable because they considering the or urban area technically recognising that we should leave a buffer zone with Great Hazeley. That's consistent with the recommendation the officers had in
Great Hazeley's over here.
Previous.
Yeah, there's a big but
I think what they're saying there's a lot of green belt.
There's a bit of green there. There's a bit of thing. I would say please do it on understanding that the map will show the area that Catherine Market got this.
The comment on the green belt is on the west side of the A329, not the east side.
Oh, so I didn't mean green, the designated green belt. Sorry, I just meant green light field, so buffer zone. Yeah, the two, which is the previous finished governance review. Officers recommended no change to the grid zone. There was a larger area proposed. This is a smaller area and covers only industrial units.
Just reference down the northwest. Prior to 1974, that was in Cambridge. The 1974 boundary, we moved the boundary tight against the town. Was it in the water? We're stuck with that reference to 1974. No, the proposal or the request last time was to go back to the original boundary. Yeah. What I'm saying now is just they drew the area where they got them up and have high vision. Yeah.
Well, your proposal, Chair. So your proposal.
Yes.
What?
Yeah, but there's a recommendation on there.
Subject to obviously ensuring was correct and attached. Well, what you methods and acknowledge subject to the mapping.
We're going to outcomes. Yeah, I'm going to I've got Newman Courtney.
Yeah, the final one, Chair, is Newman Courtney. So you'll remember that Newman Courtney asked this commission to review its status with they requested it would be reversed to a parish meeting or be grouped with neighbouring parish council on the grounds that they were struggling to attract people to stand as parish councillors. This committee in January believed that parish meeting wasn't a viable option. When the situation preference for representation but what the parish council offers in terms of representation for the electors. As you'll see from the schedule, most obvious parish council degree would have been the Bournemouth Parish Council because they on the base there have a lot in common with children who use the same schools, etc. Consultation responses, those residents and the parish council don't support seeking improvement. Number of residents recognise that really importantly its own identity and its own needs that they could be lost if it was grouped with another parish council. So in terms of officer's recommendation, I would propose that they make no change to the government's agency before the current time that it retains the parish council and cease progress progressing this review further. What we would do outside of the review is to encourage the parish council to advertise the role of parish councillors to the community. A number of consultation responses identify the residents seem to be willing to go forward. I would tell the parish council that would be the best route for the residents in the building.
Just a quick question. In the report it says Clifton Hampden Parish Council has not formally responded and Culloden and Sandfield on Thames. When they say haven't formally responded, have they responded in any other way?
They haven't responded to
that's all.
So that's
Okay. They may have said, "Oh, these are our initial thoughts." There's no.
Right. I mean, there are mechanisms if Newman Courtney were to lose its parish councils, which was put in submission, there are mechanisms for the district council to take steps to ensure to progresses by appointing temporary councillors. There is a mechanism, but the boards would offer the best option. Density. It's difficult. Currently, we have no responses from the other parish councils or residents to say we think it sits very well with them and have had those responses. But
this won't help the debate, and I'll probably get slated for this. But we all driven through Newman Courtney. You never see anybody. Seriously, when you drive through, you never see anybody there. So where do the 186 people live?
We're going to the Mulder, or Newman Courtney, or Newman Courtney. But it's the same with the Borders. It's site visits up there. Well, for people on the site, it's anybody else. So are we going along with the recommendation?
To make my channel about
Do it on with.
yeah, see if they will carry on with the parish council. Yeah, that's a good idea.
So yeah,
The councillor keeps running around and has got a hand up on screen.
no. That's right.
Hi, I just wonder how much. I mean, obviously we've had some sort of consultation, and a few answers have been responded. But how much actual conversation has there been between the few residents of Newham Courtney the few councillors there and Marsh and the Baldens, because at a time when we've got local government reorganisation coming down the road, we don't want to lose parish councils. And if there is any realistic way of getting people to talk to each other, and maybe but maybe Baldon could actually help Newnham work out how to have a functioning council of their own. I mean, can we do a bit more in terms of encouraging them to talk to each other and try and make something work? Is what I'm just wondering how much of that's been done.
I don't think we have got answers to that, Catherine. Obviously, the Baldens have responded to the consultation saying they don't feel a merger is correct. And Newnham Corney asked. But
yeah, well, I think what the Baldens have every right to say that, but have they? Have they sat down to talk about it? Because they might, by talking to Newnham, come up with some other answer. I mean, we definitely don't want parish councils. The other thing, the heat has got to me. It seems a pity for there not to be some sort of dialogue where there might be some sort of mutual help coming out of it, rather than just sort of abandoning poor old Newnham to its ineptitude.
I would hope, I think the hope would be, but not going further forward. They'll have to do something if they want to be viable as a parish council. This is one option, and we're saying our consultation says we should come forward with it. They will have to do something. They may well come back in the next review saying we've talked to the voters. We've all thought the vote, but that's not an option at the moment. I think Road Street had the consultation hasn't led anywhere. So the regards this committee is that we go with the officer's recommendation, which is not to pursue. That's very aggressively firm. We're happy with that, Councillor. Walker's nodded other than David is. So we'll agree on that one. And that is the end of the meeting. Thank you very much.
Well, you got the recommendations that we all covered. That's always good. At the beginning of the report.
Right.
Yeah, so Chairman, I can just confirm you agreed at the start of the meeting to review to the revised proposals, revised timetable. You consider each of the schedules and other proposals. And the final one is just to authorise service managers to amend the terms of just reflect those decisions. So where you really got to say so forward, we'll just amend the terms of reference to say that this will stop.
And we'll have a meeting in September, dates to be arranged. Yeah, hopefully I'll have my voice back by then.
Larry, can we stop the broadcast, please?
Although we finished the meeting, the two items I mentioned